What is up, everybody? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and yes, children of all ages. Well, maybe not you under 13s because you should be on this show. To another episode of the Dads, not always on wrestling, here on this very Friday afternoon. It is already August, and it's hotter than shit outside. So that's why I'm in here with the AC blowing. If you hear it, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna roast like a turkey during this shows or any of my shows for that matter. But
same here. I got a fan just off camera here, so I apologize if it picks up in the audio, but it be pushing triple digits out here, and it's not even 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock as we film this. So
you have to remember, we both in what they call the high desert area. It warm a little bit, but he is the cooking as we speak. Renegade J.J. Williams. I am Jeff Meacham. It says so right there, so I tend to believe it's true. Whether it is or not, we'll see how the day goes. But Jay, we have a show today that I think is almost as near and dear to our hearts as Disney. And I know everybody out there knows we love our Disney and our Pixar and our Disney parks. But I mean, yeah, you're out where you are, I'm out where I am, but technically Hollywood's not that far away. And the involvement of celebrities in professional wrestling, which, goes back even before a match that we both have on our list. I mean, you talk about the old days of, Muhammad Ali, dancing with Gorilla Monsoon back in the day. It's celebrities have managed to find a way into the very fabric of professional wrestling, sports entertainment, we were to call it, because, it almost like draws to it, like, because there's so much entertainment value. There's so much theater and live action, presentation to it that it's almost a given that you have non-wrestling folk come in every so often, because it draws the numbers, it pops the rating, it draws merchandise sales. Everything about it is almost like it has to be. Am I wrong there? Or?
No. I think you're pretty spot on. I feel like it's a bold statement to say that it's as near to our hearts as Disney.
Well, maybe mine.
It's kind of a bold statement, but yeah, I mean, and it's something that, especially in the early days,
right,
wrestling needed Hollywood.
Yes.
More than Hollywood needed wrestling.
Makes sense.
You even figure, you go back and you look at something like WrestleMania 1, which I'm sure at least one of us will touch on.
Yes.
And with the exception of Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper, the majority of the celebrities that appeared were kind of older, kind of more washed up.
Yeah.
But they had that name power that could help pop a rating, as you said, for the World Wrestling Federation. Yeah. As time would go on and sports entertainment would evolve out of professional wrestling, and we had those boom periods, first with the era of Hulkamania in the mid to late 80s, and then the Monday Night Wars in the late 90s, 96 through roughly 99 was probably the hottest period there. That point, man, Hollywood celebrities wanted to come to help promote themselves or their events or whatever their new movie, their album is going to be. They started using wrestling to get themselves over, as opposed to wrestling needing to use them to put them over.
Exactly.
So there's very much been an evolution. if you will.
I'll be good.
With the way that celebrities in wrestling have been married together over the years.
That is definitely one total sidebar. I wish he'd have been younger when he first got involved, man. Because can you imagine letting me in the ring with somebody and just tearing shit up? Oh my god! Like, oh my god, for real.
We would have finally gotten that answer to the question in Airheads. You know, who would win in a wrestling match?
That's right. Trick question. He is gone. No, I would like to see Lemmy versus Ozzy. I mean, they're both involved heavily, so why not? Just once and for all.
Decades apart, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, God, like Ozzy in his WrestleMania era prime against Lemmy in his prime, which wasn't his WrestleMania involvement, but man, just the theatrics would have been tremendous.
I think I'd have to give the slight edge to Ozzy in that one because at least Ozzy seemed to know where he was and what he was doing, and Lemmy couldn't freaking remember the lyrics to his own song, so you know.
Well, yeah, Ozzy wasn't quite far gone by that point in WrestleMania 2. But, you know, Ozzy also biting the heads off of bats, so he's just crazy anyway. So, yeah.
Before Tyson was biting ears, Ozzy was biting bats.
That's right. See? Tyson's not all bad, except he is because he's a convicted rapist. But that's okay. You know, we'll move right along there and just keep on going.
Moving right along.
That's it. It always comes back to the Muppets here on the Dads, not always in wrestling. There you go. With that being said, it is a wrestling week. It's Friday, and if you're like us on this Friday, you ain't got no kids, you ain't got shit to do. So settle in. JJ, my friend, take it away.
Well, since we're talking about Hollywood and everything, I feel like we should tell people, you know, grab your popcorn.
Yes.
Grab your nachos. Grab your jujubes. Hey! Don't make your head shake. People have their tastes, okay? I don't care for jujubes, but goddamn it,
I don't either.
People think about going to the movies and they think about getting their candy.
Okay,
some people like their $10 steel chip cheese in a cup nachos, okay?
Yeah, cheese in a cup nachos.
Some people don't eat popcorn because they're afraid the kernels are going to get stuck in their teeth. So you know what? You just let it be. Settle in, folks, as he said, though. Get your popcorn, get your nachos, get your juvies. Get you your tall, tasty beverage.
I got water today. I'm being a good boy today.
I got water in my cup, too.
There you go. It's all good. Whew.
And keep in mind that as we film this here in early June, the network still being what it is on Peacock. It's not like I can go back, revisit some of these matches. So I'm going strictly off of memories.
Yes, exactly.
So please forgive me if I remember these matches slightly different than you guys do, or even slightly different than the professor here does. But, you know, I got to work with what I got. My number 10 match was the main event at WrestleMania 11.
Oh, okay.
Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow, April 2nd, 1995.
Almost April Fool.
Yeah. It should have been April Fool with this as the main event because I still to this day do not feel that this should have been the main event. I know there's people out there that disagree with me.
Right.
But for my money, this should not have been the main event. Now, however, this was, again, from my recollection, a darn good match. You've got LT, the pro football player, and there seems to be something about pro football players making the transition to wrestling that just works generally.
Absolutely.
You know, you've got the build, you've got the stature, you've got the athleticism, you've got the hard hitting, and then you got the bammer. And, you know, even I don't give Bammer the credit I feel he deserves now, or at least I didn't back in the day.
Right.
Because I just see this heavyset dude with a tattooed bald head.
Right.
And it's very easy to sleep on a guy by that, but you can't judge a book by its cover.
No.
And Bammer is quite possibly one of the greatest big men to ever get in the ring. And I'll tell you, it took his match with Taz in ECW for me to wake up on the greatness of the Bammer.
Oh, yeah. Ironically enough, do you know what... I know what pay-per-view it was with him and Taz. It was Living Dangerously. Do you know what day that was in 1998?
I don't remember.
March 1st. So, as I was turning 15, Taz was dying in the ring. So, it's okay. You know, yeah. Even Shane in the rematch when they went through the ramp, they're dead. They're dead. He's just screaming, "They're dead." And Joey's like, "Dude, even I don't scream that much. Relax, Shane. Jesus."
Pretty much. But yeah, and then this match also gave us the introduction to pro wrestling of a man who would become a member of one of the most elite factions in wrestling history when he would join the other company and become a horseman.
And I doubt he's watching, but Mongo, if you are, man, we're with you, brother. Stay strong. My goodness.
Now, you know, Mongo, a lot of people look at Mongo as a black mark on the Horseman roster.
Ooh,
no. But I don't feel like he was as bad as others, but he definitely wasn't as good as others. You know, I'd put him middle of the road.
Well, considering, you know, a month and a half ago, you put Paul Roma on my show on purpose as a horseman. You know, you're never going to get rid of that. You're never going to live that down. You actually mentioned Paul Roma as a horseman on one of my shows, even if it is our show together.
Did it now.
I understand that, but
you could have just let it go.
I could have.
You could have been Elsa and let it go.
No,
you had to dig it up.
Well, yeah, because if you're going to name Mongo as middle of the road horseman, and you know, shit, even Jarrett's above Roma. My God, even Sid. Every single horseman is above Paul Roma except Kendall Windham, and he was a horseman for about 3 days. Okay, seriously. So yeah, just anyway, Mongo was the horseman that we didn't know we needed. I mean, for like he fit in so well. He had the attitude. He had the credentials with the Super Bowl ring. He was a complete surprise. And I'm glad you mentioned he was part of this match because, you know, when you see him at WrestleMania 11 and he's just kind of a corner guy, you know, with the other guys, you don't think anything of it. And when he's on Nitro, you don't think anything of it. But then as we mentioned with Lemmy, the evolution of Mongo, just so well done. So, and yes, Paul Roma, I still hate you, so go away. Thanks. Anyway, carry on. There we go. All right. That's gonna be a letter in my mailbox.
It's hilarious to consider that you put Sid as a horseman above Roma, considering he tried to stab and kill Arn Anderson backstage.
I was gonna say
you tried to kill
the Enforcer,
Ric Flair's best friend, but you're still a better horseman than Paul Roma.
He is.
My number 9.
Run away from
my
the
number 9.
Quick,
we speaking of WCW here.
Yes.
My number 9 comes from WCW. Slamboree 2000. May 7th. No.
Oh, boy.
And, you know, yeah. David Arquette defending the WCW championship.
Oh, my God.
Inside the triple cage from Ready to Rumble against DDP and Jeff Jarrett.
There's not enough booze in this water bottle to deal with this match being on anybody's list ever. Oh, my God.
Now,
but you know,
I could have put the match where Arquette won the title, but that was such a cluster.
Okay,
that was such a cluster.
Yeah,
that's why I picked the match where he lost the title.
Right.
Because if memory serves me correctly, he wasn't that heavily involved in the match. It was primarily Page and Jarrett.
He got his licks in, and he definitely took a few licks also, but he was at the top pretty early on. So
yeah. But you know, and maybe it's just the soft spot I have for Arquette because I do enjoy him as an actor.
Oh yeah.
You see me, I'm rocking the Scream shirt during this episode out of respect to him. I've met Arquette, as I know you have. I mean, You've mentioned multiple times. Dave knows you by face on a first-name basis now.
Which still boggles my mind to this day.
But, you know, when I took my trip to Missouri couple months back.
Yeah.
One of the free movies that I was able to choose to watch on the plane was You Can't Kill David Arquette.
Oh wow, okay.
And I watched that film because I had never seen it before.
Oh, okay.
And just listening to Dave talk about the passion he has for this business and what a wrestling fan he is.
Oh yeah.
And even back then, you know, part of why he took Ready to Rumble was because of what a fan he was of the business and how opposed he was for them putting the strap on him. But, you know, they're willing to pay money, so he did what he did.
Yep.
You know, donated his entire paycheck to the families of Owen Hart and Brian Pillman. You know, such a noble gesture, you know. I don't want to be this champion, but if they're going to do this, I may as well give back to the business in some way. Now, what better way to give back at that time than the families of those two individuals?
And I think Bobby Duncan's family got something as well, if I remember right.
And then you look at what he's done in recent years to try to erase that black mark. You know, the fact that the words David Arquette and wrestling became such a punchline for so long. Yeah. And you kind of develop this newfound respect for him. You know, and then you even see the finale where he's got his wife dressed up as Elizabeth to accompany him to the ring to pay homage to Mach and Elizabeth. Yeah. And it's just such a beautiful thing. If you guys haven't seen You Can't Kill David Arquette, I'm sure I'll review it next year when I do my wrestling month on Renegades reviews, but highly recommended. Seek it out, watch it. I think you will change your opinions on Arquette after watching it. And that is part of why he made my list.
I'm pretty sure it's free on Prime Video for what it's worth, guys.
There you go. No excuse. You don't even got to pay to watch it. Free on Prime. And then if you like it, buy a hard copy.
Yeah, seriously. Support that independent cause and support David. Absolutely, 100%. One of the first times I met Arquette where he already knew who I was by then was at Booker's podcast event, and I had No Mercy, which was the same night that Enzo Amore became Cruiserweight champion. And I swear to God, Jay, the first thing he walked up to me, he goes, "I'm not the worst champion in wrestling anymore." I'm like, I mean, he's not wrong. But, oh, man. He was so ecstatic that Enzo had become, because everybody despised Enzo, at least then. He's got a little bit of flack, you know, relieved off him in the last couple years. But, man, that night it was like nobody wanted him to be anything in WWE. That's why he was gone within a year, and just David was so happy that he wasn't the worst champion in history. I'm like, well, no, Dave, you got to remember, Paul Roman was tag team champion in WCW, so you know.
I got two words for David Arquette: Harvey Whippleman, and we'll just leave it there.
But at least he only champion for 24 hours. At least that was a brief stop in.
He was the women's champion.
Dude, you're evolving more and more into Conrad as we go on with these shows, because freaking Eric will sit there and just like argue. This is years ago when they were talking about the DX invasion and how, you know, Eric was, you know, not there yet. He was in the ring doing stuff at promo. It was daylight, Eric. It's like you weren't in the ring doing a promo when they showed up. Don't lie, Bischoff. And just Conrad got your whole tone of voice was, it was freaking the women's championship. Jeez.
With the exception of one of my matches, which precedes pay-per-view wrestling.
Oh, okay.
This is my only match that was non-pay-per-view.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
This one, my number 8, comes from Raw, New Year's Day 2007.
Oh, hell.
And it's the first appearance of one of these guys on my list.
Yes.
John Cena versus Kevin Federline.
Barf.
And again, you know, K-Fed has got such a bad rep. A lot of it well-earned.
I was going to say.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
But when he walked into the WWE, he was all business. He took his role seriously. He did his due diligence. He didn't stink up the ring. And he put on a solid match with John Cena. And let's not gloss over his theme song, okay? Which was at the time when K-Fed thought that he could be a rapper too.
Yeah.
America's Most Hated.
Right.
Jeff, I legit had this song downloaded for quite a while. And
I remember. Yep.
I loved the shit out of this song because it was everything you wanted to hate about K-Fed. It was cocky. It was arrogant. He had that swagger to him. He didn't deliver his lyrics horribly. It was quite possibly the best song on that album that he dropped, which is probably why it was his theme song. But then America's Most Hated. Like, you think about everything that was being said about him at the news at the time and his relationship with Britney and all that. And yeah, I think at that time, he really was America's Most Hated. And I find it kind of ironic because even though to this day he has not turned heel, John Cena kind of ended up embodying that America's Most Hated throughout a good chunk of his run there because we, the fans, just got tired of Super Cena.
Oh, yeah.
So the irony is not lost on me.
I mean, I don't know what to I'm just not. I'm not a K-Fed fan, and full disclosure, I was a Britney fan. Like, I actually went to a concert Britney fan. That's how much I was a Britney fan. So for him to get his rub, if you will, by being Britney's, whatever he ended up being, baby daddy or whatever, it's just not a fan. And yeah, John put him over, which just makes my very soul cringe. But you know what? You're right. He went out there and did his job. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. And you know what? John took the fall, took the loss, whatever you want to call it, in an attempt to, promote Kevin and to get his stuff over. And as I recall, it didn't hit too much more on the mark as far as sales, but he did improve. So,
and John lost at a time when John wasn't really losing.
No, yeah, remember, John was, I think was he champion at that point?
I don't recall.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because he won it in Unforgiven 06 and didn't lose until he tore his pectorals in 07, like late 07. So yeah, the WWE champion's getting pinned on national television. I mean, you can't ask for being put over more than that on Raw. You can't.
No.
So, there you go. As I recall, he was feuding with Umaga going in the Rumble, where he had ended up taking the turnbuckle and the ropes off to choke Umaga out, and he'd be the last man standing. So, I mean, if you're losing to Umaga but not to Kevin Federline, the booking's definitely skewed. I'll say that. But like you said, he was brought in for a reason. They pulled it off. So,
and that's the main thing I look at. You got to kind of put your personal feelings about some of these celebrities behind you, because I'm not the biggest K-Fed fan.
No.
But his match was solid and did everything it was designed to do.
Indeed.
My number 7 match comes from WrestleMania 34. And when you think about WrestleMania, you always think about celebrities.
Yep.
April 8th, 2018. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon versus Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. And yes, Ronda was contracted at this point.
I was going to say, okay.
Yes, she was going to become a more prominent figure, bigger and better in the company. But I do believe this was her first match.
Yes.
And coming in, even with the contract, her first match, she still was that celebrity having come from her UFC run.
Right.
So that's why I count this on my list, because now if I had picked a match from a year later and she's women's champion, whatever,
Yeah.
it would be hard to count her as a celebrity at that point because she is an ingrained WWE wrestler.
Right.
But first match in, I felt I could get away with because what is she going to do?
Yeah.
How is her UFC style going to translate to the world of the McMahons,
Right.
to sports entertainment? Granted, she's got an Olympic gold medalist as her partner, a man who won that medal with a broken freaking neck.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, is she going to be able to carry over?
Right.
And she succeeded. She shattered all expectations.
I mean, for what it's worth, it's on my list. So I'll go ahead and comment really quick. I didn't know what to think because I started watching UFC full time because of Ronda. I know that Brock was there, and I know that Punk had dabbled his toes in the water, if you will, later on. But I really got into mixed martial arts and combat fighting because of Ronda Rousey, and I knew she was a fan because she had been in WrestleMania out in Santa Clara a few years before. I knew that she was a huge fan of Roddy Piper, which I know, tugs at both you and Teresa's heartstrings very, very much. I mean, I was at Teresa's house the weekend that Roddy died when Ronda dedicated her fight to Roddy and just took, Carrera to town in like 30-something seconds or whatever it was, because she was that determined to do right by Roddy. So I totally... I'm a fan of Ron to this day. Yeah, she kind of was shitty on the way out as far as how she talked about the fans, but you know what? She was 100% right and justified in what she said. So, but this match here, again, you've got Ronda, the baddest woman on the planet at that point. I mean, there was no denying that claim at all. Kurt Angle, like you said, legitimate athlete, legitimate Olympic gold medalist at one point. Stephanie, who just seems to age like wine. Like, my God, she looks better and better every year. It's ridiculous, And Hunter, of course, the freaking gym rat of gym rats. He puts the old man to shame at this point. These four put on one of the best matches of the night. And it was a celebrity match. It didn't have to be, but it was.
Number 6 on my list also comes from WrestleMania.
Yes.
And it comes from this year's WrestleMania. April 10th, 2021, The Miz and John Morrison versus Damian Priest and Bad Bunny.
Can we get John to get the tattoo right on his forehead, just like have it right across the forehead for all time? Just have John make that happen. He
is a friend of the channel, so
That's right. We love Jomo on this channel. That's right.
And we love The Miz.
We do indeed. Yes, we
Miz fit since day one, baby.
And I'm a proud converter.
But this match wasn't about Miz and Morrison because we knew what they could do.
Of course.
This match was obviously about Bad Bunny, the celebrity, but even more so, it was Damian Priest's first big test on the main roster.
Yep.
Yeah, he had appeared in the Rumble, kind of helped set up all this.
Yes.
And yeah, he probably had a couple of Raw matches in between. I don't really remember because even though I tried to follow Raw, after the beginning of the year, getting so consumed with my own show, derailed me, if you will, derailed the Raw train.
And at the end of the day, if you don't have Hulu, Raw is 3 hours. Oh my God. So,
but Bad Bunny is another one, man. He came in there and he did his training. He put in his work. He surprised the shit out of me. And I'm telling you, Meech, if they don't use the zombie attack on Miz, which injured him and put him out of action, to try to say that Bad Bunny set that up, to set up a rematch down the road, they are missing a golden opportunity.
Well, yeah.
Because it was WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah,
not Backlash.
Right. No.
WrestleMania Backlash. And Bad Bunny was at WrestleMania. So it only makes sense that Bad Bunny would have sent those goddamn freaking zombies. I don't care if they were there to promote some shitty Batista movie. That doesn't count.
That's right.
Because it's Batista. He doesn't count.
That's right.
He couldn't even go in the Hall of Fame like he was supposed to. He's so much better than that. He's probably out in the parking lot screwing Melina again.
Oh, Jesus, dude. We're just getting all up in this shit. Okay, very good. All right. Wow. Send your tweets too. Lord.
If you've read his book, you know what I'm talking about.
I think you bought me his book for Christmas, as I recall, or birthday, or whatever the hell it was that year. So, yeah, Bad Bunny was one. And I'll talk about him. This one's on my list too. But I will say this: the fact that they had Miz come back from the zombie attack pretty much unscathed, and then as we tape this, he's in a wheelchair right now ringside, not because of zombie, because some other thing that happened to him. It's like, man, come on. He got hurt in the zombie match, so the fact that, from what I recall seeing so far, they haven't done anything with it yet. And again, we're taping this in advance, so if we're not up to August 2nd storylines, sorry, but they had a great thing built in, and if they don't capitalize on it, and even bring Bad Bunny back, because he really showed me something. I was very impressed with his outing at WrestleMania this year. Surprised for sure, but very impressed.
Yeah, I now know who Bad Bunny is, and that was the goal.
Yes.
When I first heard that he was going to perform, I was like, what the hell is Bad Bunny?
Yeah. Who is this crazy thing dancing around a Booker T statue? Oh, it's Booker T himself.
And then he performs his song, Booker T, with Booker T up there looking like G.I. Bro. The song wasn't called G.I. Bro. It was called Booker T.
Yeah.
He should have at least, looked like Booker T or King Booker, not G.I. Bro.
Harlem Heat, damn it, Harlem Heat. Yeah.
And I'm still like, what the F is a Bad Bunny?
Right.
Is that what happens when Lola gets naughty with bugs? She a Bad Bunny?
Whoa.
And then he came out there at the Rumble, and he did that dive.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I see some potential here. Obviously, we're setting up this match. And then he did the match, and I was like, okay, I'm still not going to go to your concert, but now I know who Bad Bunny is.
Right. Which is so
And that was the point.
Because on night 2, they had that promo that Hunter was, congratulating him for his efforts and then promoting the shit out of that tour. It's like, oh, okay, means to an end. Got it.
It sold out within seconds.
Right. The power of the WWE.
Bad Bunny
folks
owes a percentage to Hunter and Vince for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Number 5. We've reached the halfway point. And it's a classic, man. It's a classic from 1998, going back to WCW. July 12th, 98, Bash at the Beach. Hogan and Rodman versus Page and Malone. And while this definitely was not Rodzilla's best performance, Malone killed it.
Oh, yeah.
Malone had me thinking that once his basketball career was over, he might transition.
Right.
And do like Bo Jackson did back in the days. And if you don't know who Bo Jackson is, pause, Google. Man played NFL football and Major League Baseball at the same time.
And no, not like Jordan, where he would play baseball and then, go back to basketball. Bo did both.
At the same time. Now, granted, there's not a whole lot of overlap in the seasons because you figure, baseball usually starts the spring.
Right.
Goes to about September, October if you make the playoffs, the World Series. Yep. Whereas football starts September-ish and goes till February.
Well,
So there's
yeah.
not a whole lot of overlap, but the fact that Bo was the original no days off, like Darren Young used to try to, throw out there.
I am so glad Fred's still a thing on NWA. I'm so glad he's there, man. I love him.
Because as soon as football ended, he was down there in spring training getting ready for baseball. And as soon as baseball ended, he was at camp getting ready for football.
Well, what's funny is football camp is usually in August.
Yeah.
So you figure the teams he was on, they were playing into August and September. So, yeah, like, granted, Malone didn't do that. None of these guys we're going to talk about did that,
No.
right?
But Malone definitely could have.
Dude, Malone was in such ridiculous shape in 1998, and there was a reason that he and Dennis beefed so much, because the two best teams in the league,
they were playing
fail.
each other in the NBA playoffs. They would play
the
a game. They would play a game on Sunday, fly to Nitro, do Nitro, fly back, play each other on Tuesday.
Yep. Rodman missed practice for the finals for this match.
And Phil Jackson fined his ass.
Oh, yeah. Buku bucks. And he was like, yeah, all right. Because it's Rodman. Boom.
It's like his WCW paycheck covered the fine. It's like, for real.
I was going to say, friggin' Hogan and Henry Holmes are going, that's cute. Here you
go. But I mean, again, Rodman's better performance was the year prior.
Right.
But still, dude, like, Rodman wasn't horrible in this match. It just wasn't his best performance. But Malone, man, was the star of the show. He stole it.
The mailman delivered.
Number 4, we go back to Mania.
Oh.
And we're going to 2008,
March
30th. The Big Show versus Floyd Money Mayweather.
Huh, okay.
You want to talk about putting aside feelings about people. I'm not a Mayweather fan. Never been a Mayweather fan. Never going to be a Mayweather fan.
Nope.
Whatever.
Right.
But dude got in there.
Oh, yeah.
And he did his thing. And yes, wrestling is scripted. Wrestling's predetermined. I will never say the F word.
Oh, no. God, no.
When it comes to wrestling. But David defeated Goliath in this match. And Big Show very easily could have just gone full-on Incredible Hulk, puny human, and just flung him like a bug off his windshield.
Hell yes.
But he went out there, he did business, and he did his thing, man. I got to give Mayweather credit. He was a huge draw for this pay-per-view.
It definitely, I mean, we were going either way, right, Dad and I. But this being part of it definitely helped.
Number 3 on my list. We go all the way back to 1985. Again, something about that year, Jeff. Now, we're quite a few months away from November 5th, 1955 at this point. We're talking about March 31st, 1985.
85, right, exactly. Yeah,
We're talking about the original WrestleMania.
Yes.
The OG, baby.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Hogan and Mr. T versus Orndorff and the Hot Rod. And a feud, a match, and a general disdain and dislike from Piper to T that carried, I believe, until the day Piper died. He never liked T. I don't know if they ever buried the hatchet.
I think they quote unquote made up on TV at WrestleMania 30, but I don't think it was ever legitimate on Roddy's end anyway.
But I mean, and then you want to talk about star power. You've already got Mr. T. Then you've got Liberace. Then you've got, help me out, the Yankees.
Billy Martin.
Thank you, Billy Martin. You know, you've got Ali.
I must say, even at the point Muhammad Ali was in his life, physically, you know, he was still Muhammad Ali, damn it.
Yeah, he was still a name drop.
Yep.
And Mr. T, I won't say that he did great in the match, because to say that he did great would be just lies.
Right.
He did decent. He did decent.
Yes.
He pulled his weight for what he needed to do, but Hogan definitely carried his side of things. And to say that Hogan carried a match when we all know that Hogan isn't the greatest worker,
no.
Performer is different than worker, people. Let's make sure we have that clear.
No, I got you.
I know you got me, but I'm just don't want other people to shit on my comment there. Hogan is not the greatest worker. One of the best in-ring performers of all time.
Oh, yeah.
But I still am not sure if he knows the difference between a wrist lock and a wrist watch.
Now,
so for Hogan to be the man to carry an entire team,
right,
says quite a bit about the other half of that team.
Yes.
But Piper and Orndorff carried Hogan and T. Let's be clear.
Oh yeah, and when you say things like, you know, great worker, reformer, I always harken back to the story about when Hogan and Flair first met in '91 in the WWF, and you know, Hogan told Flair the best worker is the one that makes the most money. Completely different things, but they both chuckled and said, "I got you." So they both intertwined, but they knew which one each of them were. I mean, they knew. Mm-hmm. You know, Flair, he's revered beyond anything now. Thanks to the WWE hype machine. Let's be clear, because Ric Flair, probably the greatest in-ring worker of all time. I mean, every belt back here was around his waist at one point or another. So there's that. But, you know, he really didn't get the opportunity to draw big money on a global or even a national scale because he was in Crockett or WCW. So, you know, they both intertwine.
Number 2 on my list is probably the only other celebrity match predating the one we just talked about that really, really amounts to much of anything. You can argue that celebrity matches today would not be what they were it not for April 5th, 1982, and Jerry the King Lawler versus Andy Kaufman. Because Andy Kaufman was a rare breed.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't a comedian. He's what would be referred to as a performance artist.
Yes.
But he was quite possibly the first outsider to really get what was going on inside that ring and understand it on levels that even some of the markiest marks still do not understand today.
Exactly.
Even as a child watching it on TV, he would watch it, he would study it, and he got it. So when he came in and became the intergender women's wrestling champion, long before Harvey Whippleman became a women's champion, let's be clear.
We love you, Bruno, if you're watching. We love you, brother. Oh, Jesus.
But he was able to just get under people's skin.
Very much.
You know, before there was X-Pac heat, there was Kaufman heat.
Oh, yeah.
And Kaufman just knew how to play people like a fiddle, man.
And he lived off it. He thrived on it.
He did. He did. Very much so.
Yep. Even outside of wrestling, I mean, he would go to these, speeches and just read The Great Gatsby, start to finish, just to piss people off.
I mean, he was the musical guest on Saturday Night Live and lip-synced the theme to Mighty Mouse.
That's it.
And he didn't even lip-sync the entire song. He just stood there. But then when the "Here I come to save the day," that's all he did was lip-sync that part.
Just
the musical guest of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, just so far ahead of his own time. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Andy could have been as great as he became and as iconic a figure as he is now. His brand of performance art, I'd say 20 years later, even nowadays, would have been so much more appreciated, I think.
I'm half inclined to agree with you. I think Andy was so far ahead of his time that his comedy would still be lost on audiences today.
And
because you have to think about how much society and intellect has regressed in the last 40 years.
That makes sense. And I know for a fact that if Andy was around now, he'd be one of the people on Twitter that kayfabed everybody. He would still not, be the Fiend girl on television and then Ryan's girlfriend on social media. It's like, Alexa, I love you, but
I'm so glad that you mentioned Twitter, because 45 being what he is, he lost his social media accounts for his posts.
Right.
You don't think that Andy Kaufman would have been in the same boat and reveling in every moment of it?
True. Very true. Very true.
I'm just saying.
But the thing is, if he would have gone so far as to lose his platform, then there is no outlet, and he gets down as a result. 45,
there's still an outlet because there's still paparazzi.
Right.
All he's got to do is find those TMZ reporters and do Kaufman shtick, and he's still being talked about on the news.
Right.
And he still gets people coming to his improv shows.
Very true. Very true.
You just got to know how to market. When one avenue closes, one street becomes a dead end. You flip a bitch and you find a street that lets you out.
I haven't heard that term in so long. Thank you for reminding me how awesome that term was. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No
flip
problem.
A bitch. Good shit.
My number one, as we are here almost an hour into the show, and Jeff has barely spoke for a change.
See? I can do it.
My number one is probably going to be the most controversial selection on the list, because both participants in the match were bred professional wrestlers. However, it occurred at a time when one man was still the face of the company, and the other man was the face of Hollywood. From April Fool's 2012, WrestleMania 28, Rock Cena won. And again, I know Dwayne debuted Survivor Series 96, Pineapple Jerry curl, fringe over his chest, born and bred wrestling family, third generation, High Chief Peter Maivia, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, hence Rocky Maivia. I get it. But since about 2002, after his defeat by Brock, pretty much every time he showed up, he was already making his name in Hollywood. And post WrestleMania 20, when the only time we saw him after that was to induct his father and grandfather in the Hall of Fame, which, I think Jeff feels that speech is still going on.
I'm still in the Amway Arena right now as we speak, trying to fall asleep.
This is actually a hologram of Jeff sitting here doing this with me because
right.
he's still in the arena listening to Dwayne talk about his father and his grandfather.
Y'all want to talk about Hillbilly Jim and Mr. T going on forever? Do not leave Rock out of that category because y'all hypocrites. Y'all lie. You will lie. You a lie if you do that.
But I mean, every time he came back, he was the Hollywood superstar,
Yes.
The Rock. And even more so by the time this match came around. So if y'all can sit there and look me square in the eyes and tell me that Rocky was not a celebrity by the time this match happened, first of all, you're wrong. Second of all, unsubscribe to the channel because you're on the wrong channel.
No. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Jesus. Oh, I lose people every day as it is. Okay.
And thirdly, once again, you're wrong.
You're totally 100% wrong.
And even Cena was on his way to celebrity status.
Yes.
When this match happened, he had already dabbled in a couple of movies. And now, where is John as we film this? Oh, that's right. He did the exact same thing that he ripped on Dwayne for doing.
Hey. Let's not, you know.
I'm just saying.
He's still involved.
I'm just saying. We all know about your adoration for John. But John is a hypocrite. Hindsight being that horrible year last year.
Yes.
Because he did exactly what he ripped on The Rock for doing. He left the E, which made him a name, to go make a name in Hollywood.
I still say, for the record, that everybody's into retro stuff now. Everybody's all about the old school stuff. They missed a big opportunity not having a Rocky Maivia Chia Pet. Just throwing it out there.
Hey, if Chia Pets were still a thing, I'd totally say go for it.
Even if they're not, shit, do it anyway. Anyway, all right. You mentioned one of the people in my number 10 on your path to your number 1, but he didn't make your list, which surprises me. But at the same time, putting him on my list really was an effort. It was really a much thought about and much maligned choice. But when you think about celebrity involvement and you think about WrestleMania and you think about how involved the celebrity got, whether they were actually in the ring or just a major part of the storyline, I dare say that the last decade or so, a decade and a half or so, there was no bigger WrestleMania moment, match, whatever, than the Battle of the Billionaires from WrestleMania 23. Yes, his face is on my show. It's on my channel. Let's move right along with it. There he is, represented by WWE Champion as of this taping, Bobby Lashley, against Umaga, representing Mr. McMahon, and Stone Cold all up in the shit as a referee, because that's what Steve do. Okay, so we all know that Trump has been involved with wrestling forever. You know, he hosted 2 Manias. He was at WrestleMania 7. He's kind of woven in and out of the company many a time over the years. Yeah. And
he bought Raw from Vince.
After this, right? Yep, he did for a whole week.
And then there was at least one episode of The Apprentice where the people on The Apprentice had to create a wrestling gimmick.
I remember that. I remember Maria was on that show at one point too, Celebrity Apprentice. So yeah, he's, as much as I detest admitting it, he's very much a part of the fabric of WWE. He just is, and I can't, you know, purposely leave him off a list because of what I think of him as a human being, and that's stretching it. But
I sat there a couple times, you know, saying that you've got to put your personal feelings for the celebrity out of it. What did they do for the match?
And the thing is, he not only, you know, was part of the entire, but I mean, you got to figure he was on Raw at least every week, if not every other week. So he was there every step of the way. He got physically involved in the match, tackling Vince. He was the iconic shot of that match is Vince in the barber chair with the freaking shaving cream up to here. I'm not on camera. There you go. And Lashley, Austin, and Trump sitting there with these giggly smiles on their faces. That's a huge moment. And Trump being there made that a thing. Now, I will say this. 2 things. If you take a stunner so bad you make Linda McMahon take a stunner look good, stop. Just stop it right now. However, made for a great meme and video compilation later on because when he somehow became the president of the United States, there was a picture of the McMahon family. I'm talking grandkids too, in the room with him in the Oval Office. And the meme was, which of the adults in this room has not taken the Stone Cold Stunner? And the answer was Shane's wife. Everybody else had. It's like, God damn it. Vince, Shane, Stephanie, Linda, definitely Hunter. So it's Marissa and the grandkids are exempt from this. And Trump did too. And so the grandkids are exempt for now. We'll see how long Steve lets that get away with anything before he starts stunning the grandkids.
Marissa Mazzola. I miss her hosting Live Wire.
Right? And none of us knew who she was. Like, she was just, Todd's little, plucky ghost. We had no idea, but shit. She's the daughter-in-law to the man. Like, oh my God. It's crazy. But yeah, I can't.
I'd say that she married the money, but that would be making her sound like a gold digger.
Right. Yeah, and just seeing her at ringside the last few years when Shane came out with the boys or whatever for his various comeback matches, it's like, man, she has got to be the most patient, tolerant person in the world because, man, when Shane gets into gear, like, you just want to smack him or flick him like a fly off your shoulder. Like, he's such an obnoxious little shit, but he's still good. All right. Enough of that damn match. Enough of that damn person. Number nine. We talked earlier about Mr. Osborne and and his involvement. It's not this match because he didn't really do anything in his match WrestleMania 2 except just stand there and Bears Bulldogs forever. Okay, there. But the match at WrestleMania 2 before his match is on my list. From April, whatever the hell it was, April 2nd, 86, NFL WWF Battle Royal. You talk about where's the beef, man. My goodness, there's a whole lot of manpower in that match.
Yep. My boy Hillbilly Jim.
You know what's so funny, Jay? And I haven't talked to you about this yet because it aired, 2 months ago now, almost. The Dark Side of the Ring about Dynamite Kid. Danny Spivey was on that show.
Okay. You
would not know it was Danny Spivey. Completely bald. Looks like he's been in the future made tanning beds, kind of like he looks in that picture now in the dead center there with the yellow trunks and the golden tan. But he looks like an old washer. I was like, holy shit, that's Dan Spivey. Like, goddamn. But
I might have to check that one out.
I tell you what, man. I know you had Dynamite's book at one point. I know you're a fan of Dynamite. Dude, please have tissues ready and be ready to be completely mind-effed. I'm not going to lie. It's brutal. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but this match is one of those where, they were in Chicago, so they're going to have the Bears. Be part of it. And I mean, the fridge is in Hall of Fame inductee because of this match. I mean, really, and the build up to it. So, William Perry, if you don't know who the fridge is, if you know who the fridge is, screw it. If you know who the fridge is, please unsubscribe. Just go. Seriously, God. He's an NFL Hall of Famer, WWE Hall of Famer. Get to step in, and he got an intro from John Cena where John was getting booed mercilessly. And he still pushed on because he's an entertainer. And the voice was, even Triple H had to fight hard to laugh at his WrestleMania opponent. Like, God damn it. That's beautiful. Anyway. You've got a lot of the Bears. You got a couple of Dallas Cowboys are in there. You got freaking Too Tall Jones is in there for crying out loud. You've got Dick Butkus as a referee. I mean, the fact we actually say the words Dick Butkus on any show was fine by me. So it's just tremendous.
It's good shit, pal.
It's good shit. That's such good shit. Jesus. I enjoy it. I mean, it's a train wreck. It is what it is. It's right. Yeah, bring it in, brother. It's a battle royal. It's a train wreck by nature, by design, whatever the hell I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
And of course, Andre's in it, so he's going to win. It's just it is what it is, baby. But I love how the last two are not football players. Last two guys are the Hart Foundation. They get eliminated, so that was a little bit of a nod to the fact that the Hearts weren't in the tag title match yet because it was the Bulldogs and the Dream Team that night. But the Hearts were on their way. All right, my number 8 was your number 6. Bad Bunny, Damian Priest against Miz and Morrison. I kind of said my piece during your part of it, but man, like I said, Bad Bunny, I was expecting to just completely shit on this match after it was all said and done because I was going to watch along, and I was thoroughly impressed and amazingly surprised. I just couldn't believe how well he did, and they still did it where they got Damian Priest over, which was the ultimate goal on WWE's end. But, I think he got hurt as well during the course of the feud, so it kind of derailed a lot of the plans. So hopefully they kind of hit the reset button when everybody's all healthy and ready to go again, because this match definitely is worth carrying over to future presentations. No doubt in my mind there. All right, my number 7 was your number 4. Mayweather and Show. I mean, I'm biased. I was there. And it's the only time that anybody in my family has paid money to see a Mayweather fight, for what it's worth. Just saying. Although I will say, when he fought Connor, we paid for an inn at the restaurant above the Wild Wings down the bottom of the hill to watch the fight, and we rooted for Mayweather that time. So and we were rooting for him the last fight he had against Logan Paul, and he went 8 rounds because where was Paul at when he needed to just knock everybody out? He's like, screw this, you guys suck. But yeah, this is the only time we've actually been to the venue and paid for a Mayweather fight. So there you go. But again, feelings aside about Mayweather's attitude, his personality, or whatever, he did what he was contracted to do. Yeah. He had a choreographed fight with the largest athlete on the planet, and it took the power of Mayweather's punch with brass knuckles to do the Big Show in. I mean, that gets big. Buried Big Show, dude. He'd been in the company for 10 years by that point. That ain't gonna bury Big Show. It took brass knuckles to take him down. That's gonna make him look like a strong mother effort, like for real. Like
take another good look at that photo. Mayweather's got his gloves on.
Yeah.
Show don't.
No. And Mayweather's hitting him with everything he can, and he's getting rocked, but he's not getting knocked out. Yeah. It took the brass knuckles on. Yeah.
One punch from Show to that jaw, and he is night land.
Yeah, exactly. And when you think about that, yes, the stuff at No Way Out was obviously planned, and yes, it was arranged that way. But when you think about the fact that it got so intense and so real that Scorpio Sky got ran over by the Big Show in the process of that retreat, it was intense. An intense thing. So I love the intensity of it. I love the drama. I love the theatrics. I love all of it. And isn't that what Mania and Celebrity is all about? The drama, theatrics, the presentation. It's certainly not about popping a rating from Meltzer in this match. It ain't going to happen. No freaking way. But, this match did what it was supposed to do. Much like number 6. Now, you said on your end of it when you mentioned this as your number 10 that it should have been the main event. It should have been Kevin and Shawn. I think if Shawn was going to win, it belongs at the main event because you're coronating the new champion. The fact that he did not change the title, the fact that there was so much botched stuff going on with Hebner and Sid or whatever, it was such a train wreck ending that I feel ending almost flat Even yet, yes, Diesel was in there raising the hands of Pam Anderson, Jenny McCarthy, John Taylor Thomas, Nick Turturro. Even with those 5 people in a parting shot, I still think that LT and Bam Bam is the way to go. And I say that because the celebrity involvement in this match, he's actually a participant in a one-on-one match. You almost never saw that. Just the celebrity and one wrestler going straight up. And LT did an amazing job in training. He came off looking like $1 million. And, you know, like you said, people don't give Bam near enough credit for this match or his career. You know, you mentioned, you know, a lot of stuff about Bam Bam earlier. I say Bam Bam's best work was in ECW with Taz, as you mentioned, but also with Shane and with Rob. I mean, you know, Bam Bam was the champion that Rob won the TV title from and reigned for 2 years. And, you know, Bam Bam, you said he's one of the best big men of all time. He's definitely top 5, maybe top 3. I mean, you figure Vader, who was a world champion multiple times over. You figure the Big Show, who, you know, didn't go the Andre route, luckily because of the surgery. You know, Bam Bam, I think if Bam Bam had been a bigger star in this country, he'd be in the top of the list. But because he made his name in Japan also, teaming with Vader, ironically enough, there's more of an affinity for him over there than there is here. And that's not necessarily right, but it is the reality of it.
It is what it is, baby.
It is. And Bam Bam did performed his role here masterfully. He got LT over, and he didn't look completely weak in the loss. Now, his follow-up after this, where he turned babyface and teamed with Diesel, and then he was gone by the end of the year, yeah, they could have done a lot better with him. They could have done a lot better things with him. They could have had, you know, him feud with Sid over DiBiase turning on him and joining with Sid after WrestleMania. So there was even an article in the WWF magazine, which was still majorly kayfabe at that point, that Sid had taken a check from DiBiase on April 1st, even though he was with Shawn April 2nd. But they could have built on that, and they didn't. So my number 5 was mentioned in the same vein as your number 5, but it was a year prior. Lex Luger and the Giant, we were just talking about the Big Show, against Hollywood Hogan and Dennis Rodzilla, Rod the Bod, the Worm, whatever you want to call him, Dennis Rodman. Being an NWO fan, I'm grossly biased by this match, no question about it. But, you know, this really started back at Uncensored, when Rodman was at ringside with Hogan and the NWO team against Team WCW and Team Piper, which was basically Piper the Horseman. Rodman was a key factor in that match going to the NWO because he handed Randy Savage the spray paint can that he knocked Luger out with. And over the course of the next 4 months, it was just Rodman was there. He was involved. He was doing his thing. And he came off looking like $1 million. And the way the announcers sold his moves, his taking the moves, his everything. Granted, people give Shivani shit for over-exaggerating, but in this case, all 3 of them did big time. And then, luckily, by the grace of God, you know, Bobby was there, and that's able to rein them in and go, okay, we're saying this, but this really isn't his first time in the ring. We know he's been in the barn training somewhere. We know, just blah, 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 so, but Bobby and Dusty did a great job on Analyst here, as far as, telling people, the best training money could buy. He's been trained by the best. You figure Hogan's training him. Savage is training kayfabe. Hogan and Savage are 2 training. I mean, Hogan and Savage, up there with Flair, the biggest stars of all time at that point. So, if you're getting trained by Hollywood Hogan and Macho Man, you're in good shit.
The Mega Powers.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're top 2 trainers for the Mega Powers, you're going to do well. And the thing is, they lost this one, and they won the one you listed. So it was just very interesting that when it was against 2 wrestlers, they lose. But when they go wrestler celeb versus wrestler celeb, the NWO wins. Very interesting how that played out, I thought.
it could have something to do with the whole, making the celebrity respect the wrestling
Maybe.
and not making the wrestlers that have to be there week in, week out, week in, week out, especially when one is the largest athlete in the world,
Right.
look weak to a basketball player.
And you figure within a couple of weeks, Luger's the world champion on Nitro. He had that big moment he had. So, you've got to make Lex look good because he's going to beat Hogan and make everybody wonder if this is really it. And it wasn't, obviously, because he won it back. But, great effort by all four guys. And the referees were good. Savage played his part very well. So, good first outing for Rodzilla.
Yeah.
Number 4, I was surprised was on your list. I'm not going to lie, because I know of your affinity for the era. I know your affinity for the timing in which this took place, and the fact that it was your first actual time watching it was later this year as far as a full-time fan. But I'm thinking maybe because he wasn't directly involved is my guess why you didn't include this match. WWF champion Shawn Michaels defending against Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14 in Boston. And the enforcer outside, of course, is Iron Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet. It's one of those things where, with Austin being anointed the one and JR putting it over, the Austin era has begun. The Austin era began with Mike Tyson counting Shawn Michaels down 1, 2, 3, fast count or not.
Yeah.
Do we get that powerful a moment if Mike's not there? I don't know, because we will never know that. But I almost look back and disagree with the decision to turn him into a DX member and just have him be there and, be neutral. But at the same time, his jumping in and counting the fall, wearing the DX shirt, made for even more drama than was already attached to that match. Remember, people in the know realize Shawn's done. He's on his way out. He's hurt. He's not coming back for a while, if at all. And Austin's going in banged up. And it's just one of those things where we've talked about this, when we saw Shawn's biography and Undertaker's last ride stuff. Taker's at the gorilla position doing this, but he's taping his hands up just in case, because he'd be damned if we had to have another screw job inadvertently.
Montreal Part 2.
Right. Taker's like, I didn't know about this. I do know this happened. So it was so much of a powder keg in this match, and Shawn is just grimacing and just in excruciating pain. But he goes out there and he's the showstopper. He's the main event. He is the guy that can still go, the icon. And, Steve didn't get a lot of offense in there for the good last 2/3 of the match. But, it's about the moment. The moment is Tyson counts the fall. Austin gets his hand raised. Austin's on that turnbuckle with the winged eagle, doing the whole thing. So Tyson got in there. Tyson got the company there. WWF signing Tyson got them the media buzz. So, and again, I know he's not directly involved except for the 3 count and knocking Shawn out, but quote quote. But I will stand firm and say that this WrestleMania was as great as it was. Yeah, excuse me, was as great as it was because they put it on the back of Mike Tyson's involvement.
I can concede that, and you're absolutely right. The reason I didn't put it on my list is because Tyson wasn't really involved in the match.
Right.
You look at my list, and all my matches, the celebrity was a participant.
Right.
And Tyson wasn't that. And I can kind of see where you're coming from about the whole him joining DX thing.
Right.
But I think it just added to the drama because all the odds were against Austin.
Yep.
He's fighting Shawn, the leader of DX, in the main event with a DX affiliate as the guest enforcer. How is Austin going to overcome the odds?
Right.
Well, Tyson swerves him. and does the count. So that's how he's going to overcome the odds.
Okay.
It was me all along. Tyson was there for Austin the whole time. He was playing DX like a fiddle.
Yep. And when you think about this,
go ahead. I had something and I lost it there.
When you think about the seed that was planted the week before with Vince saying, that he didn't want Stone Cold as champion, it's like, now where do we go? Now that he is champion, and of course we get the greatest feud in history.
Yeah. So. And then I remembered what it was I was going to say. You talked about how people in the know knew what Shawn was going through. You have to clarify for our viewers that may be on the younger edge.
Oh, okay.
People in the know really only meant the company, the people backstage at this point.
Right.
The internet was still very much in its infancy. There was no NoDQ.com or any of those other websites out there to give the lowdown, the dirt on the behind the scenes.
Right.
We had no clue how bad Shawn was. And the fact that Shawn still delivered a stellar performance, we had no idea how bad it was. Yes, he had missed the pay-per-view the month prior when Savio Vega had to join the team, and it was supposed to be Hunter, Shawn, and the Outlaws. And instead we got Hunter, the Outlaws, and Savio. No disrespect to Savio Vega, but I'm just saying, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Throwing that out there.
Yeah, for real.
But we, the fans, didn't know. We weren't the ones in the know.
Right.
Now, if this had happened today, yeah, everybody freaking knows how bad it is. Just go to the internet. Hell, WWE, like I said, no DQ. There's millions of wrestling fan sites out there that share the exact same information to get the fan up to date and knowing what's going on, what's up behind the scenes, who doesn't like who's dating who's pregnant by who, etc.
Still, you wonder who's cheating who, and who's being true, and who don't even care anymore. Sorry.
I understood that reference.
It's so funny you mentioned 1998 and no fans. No DQ actually was formed in 1998. It was founded in 1998 in November as WWFWCW.com. There you go. All right. My number 3 and my number 2 can be either or. Doesn't really matter which one you go with, but I'll go ahead and say the one you already said first, which was your number 3 also. So there you go. We'll go ahead and leave it there then. Screw it. My number 3 is your number 3. We'll go with it. Hogan and T and Piper and Orndorff. I mean, the fact that, this feud, this buildup got the WWF on Saturday Night Live, the fact that this buildup actually led to the founding, the creation of Saturday Night's Main Event, the fact that, there was coverage of this feud on NBC Sports and MTV and everything you could possibly imagine covering it when wrestling was almost it still was a ha-ha to a lot of people at this point, but the fact it was getting mainstream coverage by MTV, who was also still fledgling at the time, but also NBC, who, they were the leader in sports at that point. So it was cool to see that, but I dare say that this match, this feud, wouldn't have got the hype it got if it wasn't for Hogan's involvement with the little lady in the upper left here, Cyndi Lauper, as she managed Wendy Richter to the ring at this WrestleMania against the Fabulous Moolah-led champion Leilani Kai. Now, people in recent years have said what they said and claimed about Moolah and her past, and I'm not here to say one or the other, whether they're right, wrong, indifferent, whatever. In this moment, all eyes of the media world, the entertainment world, and the wrestling world are on Cyndi Lauper's involvement in WrestleMania. She was the biggest star in the country on the music front at the time. This is before Madonna really hit it big.
That's a debatable.
Well, if you let me elaborate a little bit. female star is what I should have clarified. Female star, because of course Michael Jackson's still the man. There's
I was gonna say, at this time you very much had Michael writing the success of Thriller, you had Prince writing the success of Purple Rain, you had Madonna writing the success of Like a Virgin, and you had Cindy writing the success of the album She's So Unusual and the song Girls Just Want to Have Fun. So very, very, like, you want to talk about music Mount Rushmore at this time, there you go.
Right.
Like,
and
for real.
And the fact that the WWF got one of them to be heavily involved. Like, Cindy was taking bumps, like real. She was getting pushed down by Piper, and God bless Dave Wolfman. He was a freaking trooper throughout all this. Jesus Christ. But yeah, those two matches, and the fact that those two matches were the reason WrestleMania happened. I mean, are we sitting here covering sports entertainment on an internet show, in 2021 without WrestleMania being a success? I don't think so. So, these 2, 4, 6, 8 people, plus Piper, plus Snuka, plus Orton, plus all the celebrities at ringside during the main event, and Vince, of course, can't discount Vince and Linda. I don't have a way, my earning a living. I don't, so I am forever grateful.
It's a very interesting concept because you think about it, and Starrcade had already had a couple of years and had been pretty successful.
Right.
So what would have happened with Starrcade being successful and WrestleMania failing? Once again, we could be looking at a completely different landscape because there would have been no World Wrestling Federation, and Crockett and WCW would have been reign supreme even before there was a Monday Night War.
What's really funny is I think it was Starrcade 84. The referee for the NWA Championship match was Smoking Joe Frazier, who was at WrestleMania 2 later. So, but with all that being said, I feel there's no number 2 and 3 here on my list. There's no number 1 on your list without number 2 on your list, which is number 1 on mine, Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler. When you think about, you gave Andy all the praise he deserves. I mean, no question about it. He was the first outsider, and Ali got it, but Ali was still an athlete, and Ali was close with Blassie, so he kind of knew anyway, right? Yeah. Andy, was a fan. I mean, he was a fan, but he got it every step of the way. He was friends with Freddie Blassie. He was, the gender inequality guy before it became a thing on the internet where you had to get, to kick off Twitter for, that kind of thing. He gets it. He got every bit of it, and he worked it to a T, man. He was the greatest full-time heel that never was. And I stand on that hill. I'll die on it if I have to. Andy was the guy that really made it okay and believable that celebrities could be in there and actually lend credibility and credence to the wrestling business. So good on Andy. I will forever praise that being a thing. I talked for less time than you did. I can't believe it.
To be fair, we had a lot of similarities.
True.
So you didn't need to go as deep into them as we went on my list.
True. Very true. But yeah, that's very true. But next show is going to be fun. Okay. So full disclosure, my bad. We recorded it and it was funnier than hell. And it went with editing, it would have been about 4 hours. So yeah, it's kind of a blessing and a curse that I didn't save it, because now we can streamline and actually have it on here as opposed to put it on Twitter making no money off it. But this concept you threw to me, and I'll go ahead and throw to the graphic. I mean, take a look at it right there. Top 10 songs that tell a story. When you first pitched this to me, I'm going, what in the shit is he talking about? I don't understand. So he laid it out to me, and you know what? It's when I think about it now, as we come back to screen, hello, hi. All songs tell a story in some way or another. But there's just certain songs certain songs actually have a definitive story, which what makes them so good in video form. Which, again, what we'll do is I'll go ahead and have screenshots of the videos in the place of it. If y'all want to listen to the songs and watch the videos, we'll gladly provide links in our description. I mean, because I want to sit here for 4 hours again because it was fun and I enjoyed the shit out of it. But I gotta make money, so
God draw money.
Come back in 2 weeks. That's right. So that'll be coming up. Our very next show, the top 10 songs that tell a story, and it's going to be an interesting layout. Like I said, we all know, we each know what each other's going to say, but even still, the stories behind why are the thing, and we've got that, and then we've got another show that we're going to have the disclaimer in front of right away. I'll tell you this right now: the top 10 worst champions in history, wrestling wise.
And let's just get this out there.
Yeah.
Neither Vince is on our list.
No.
Nor is Arquette, I believe.
No, he's not.
So we do have a healthy conversation about the Vinces.
Yes.
Mid show.
Yes.
But we just felt that, if we got on the Vinces too much, it was going to take away from the whole rest of the show.
Right.
So, to take a phrase from Jarrett and Conrad, we have our own little sidebar in this one, and we just cover the Vinces in that sidebar.
100%.
So that we can give the whole rest of the show the time that they deserve for being horrible champions.
Because we can all agree, sitting here in this room or you're watching home, that Vince Russo as WCW champion and Vince McMahon as ECW champion are the two worst championship reigns in history on the world title front. You can't. There is no arguing that.
Arquette, next to Arquette.
But you know what though?
But the difference is that Arquette had no control over him becoming champion.
Right.
The other two booked themselves to win.
And Arquette was booked by Russo to do exactly what he did. Cover USA Today, mainstream awareness. There was absolutely zero reason for Vince Russo to be WCW champion or for Vince McMahon to be ECW champion. Zero. No reason. We'll get more into that in a couple weeks or 4 weeks. But next week, as I said, I'll put the graph back up here. There you go. Top 10 songs to tell a story. If you're a music fan, you will like this show. Without question. Very much so. It's basically a show about the reasons why these songs grasp our hearts so.
Yeah.
And really. But that is in 2 weeks. So we're going to go ahead and do our thing here. Let me get the graphic queued up, ready to go. And as we do, or at least I do, because he does a better job with it than I do. JJ, my friend, take us home.
Well, thank you all very much for tuning in and joining us for this hour and a half plus episode of the Dads, not always on wrestling. Did we forget anything? Did we overlook a match? Let us know. If you're watching on the premiere, leave your comment right over here next to me. If you're watching on demand, leave your comments down here. Down where? Down there. And if you don't get that reference, unsubscribe. But anyways,
definitely,
we will see you back here in 2 weeks, like the man said, for the top 10 songs that tell a story. Of course, check out our daily content over on youtube.com/Casa D18 Studios. You can find all my episodes of Renegade's Reviews. New episodes daily, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. And then all of the content that Jeff has over here on his channel, whether it's Talk Wrestling, The Greg Cherry Show, The No DQ Review, occasional episodes of Meech's Musings whenever it tickles his fancy, live stream pay-per-view coverage watch-alongs, which I believe you've decided that you're only going to do the major ones at this point. Basically, try to do one a month instead of every week when they do a pay-per-view.
There's so many of them at one point there. I was getting burned out for sure. So we'll see how the rest of the year goes. I mean, the next thing major show is SummerSlam. I'm going to be there. So, it's kind of,
So you may need somebody else to tackle it for you.
There you go.
Depending on what my schedule is like, I may be willing to help you out there.
You are more than welcome. We'll figure out a couple of Fridays from now, because a couple of Fridays from now I'll be on my way out there. So we'll see how it goes.
But so thank you all to all our loyal viewers tuning in. We greatly appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys next time right here on the Dads Not Always on Wrestling.